What is copyright? The definition of copyright is the exclusive right to make copies, use, or distribute text, film, music, etc. But what does copyright actually mean? Copyright means that you cannot use someone else's work without asking. Copyright means that someone else created a book, film, piece of music, and you have to ask permission to use it. Why are copyright laws important? Copyright laws give credit back to the original owner. Wouldn't you want to get paid for something you created? Wouldn't you want credit if you wrote an awesome song? How would you feel if someone took the amazing movie you produced and slapped their name on it? This is why we have copyright laws. Everyone gets recognized for their work, and everyone can keep on creating. But I am including the song because it is awesome. Great. I'm glad that you want to include something that you think is great. But you don't want to break a law. So let's work through some scenarios. Did you contact the creator? No? That is copyright infringement. Did you contact the creator? Yes? And they said you can't use it? That is copyright infringement. Did you contact the creator? Yes? And the creator said you can use it? Awesome! You still need to mention who wrote it. You didn't mention who wrote it? That is copyright infringement. Copyright infringement sounds a lot like plagiarism, and I know what plagiarism means. So, what's the difference? Plagiarism and copyright are very similar but different. Plagiarism is passing off someone else's work as your own, whether you meant to or not. Copyright infringement is using someone else's work in your work without getting permission. Very similar, but different. So what are the consequences? The consequences for copyright infringement are very serious. The Copyright Act of 1976 explains the fines associated with breaking copyright law. The fine is $750 to $30,000 per infringement. If the court can prove that you used the work without permission on purpose, that fine can go up to $150,000. If you use someone else's work for private or commercial gain, meaning you made money off of it, that fine can go up to $250,000 and up to 5 years in prison. Copyright infringement is a serious crime. Okay, this is serious. Is there another way I can use an awesome song that I didn't write? Now that you understand the gravity, let's talk about how not to break the law. You might be able to use the work under fair use. Fair use is an exemption to copyright law used by students and teachers. Here are some guidelines to follow if you want to use materials under fair use. First, the work must be properly cited and noted that it falls under copyright. Second, the item must be used for education, nothing commercial, nothing you make money off of. Third, if you want to use a smaller amount of the work, a chapter or a verse, it's easier to use under fair use. Fourth, the use of the work cannot negatively affect potential sales of the work. Lastly, items used under fair use are usually created for educational purposes. Looks like my needs don't fall under fair use. If you cannot use the work under fair use, you must ask permission to include it in your piece. But contacting 24kGoldn is scary. If you are afraid to contact the creator for permission, Try looking for a suitable replacement in the public domain. Works included in the public domain are pieces where the copyright protection has run out, or it was produced by federal government employees for regular work. The public domain has items from 1924 and back, with new pieces entered each year. Items in the public domain are owned by the public, so they do not need to be cited and can never be owned by someone, meaning there is no need to ask for permission. Nothing in the public domain. What about royalty-free? You didn't find anything in the public domain, so let's look at royalty-free resources. Sometimes collections of sounds or images are given to educators and they can be used for education. But make sure you read the fine print. Some royalty-free resources truly don't have any restrictions, like the images found in the Creative Commons, while others have restrictions to not use in an electronic product. Old MacDonald just isn't the same. I guess I need to ask permission. If there is no alternative in the public domain or royalty-free, you need to get permission to use the work. It is scary, but you can do it and avoid paying a fine. Here are some tips. First, contact the distributor or publisher, not the creator. Often the creator is not in charge of distribution, so it is easier to go through the person in charge of assigning a fee. The creator will just send you to that person anyway. As cool as it is to call up 24kGoldin, he might not have the answer you need. The contact information can be found on the internet. Second, be as specific as possible. Include page numbers, exact lyrics, etc. Go into the meeting prepared so you can get the correct information on how much you need to pay to use a certain amount of the work. Third, the fee can sometimes be negotiated. If the distributor is asking more than you have budgeted, negotiate. But be prepared if they say no. Fourth, if you decide not to use the materials, let your contact know. If you don't tell them that you didn't use the material, they assume that you used it and that you will owe that fee. Finally, keep copies of all emails, phone calls, etc. about the permission to use the materials, just in case. Maybe I will wait until 24kGoldin is dead. Death of the creator does not free up the work. Nice try. Think you can get around the law? Probably not. Waiting until the creator is dead won't work. Here are the general rules for copyright protection lengths. Copyright continues for 70 years after the death of an individual. Copyright continues for 100 years after creation or 75 years after the first distribution if someone was commissioned for the work. If the copyright is before 1978, protection is 28 years. Then it may be renewed for another 75 years. I got permission to use the song. Now it's time to convert it. Nope. If you obtained permission to use the materials, great. You cannot convert it to a new format. That is called copyright infringement. Copyright law protects the original format of the piece, meaning if it was created digitally, it stays digital. You cannot buy a VHS tape and convert it to DVD. The exception is recording print books into audio to be used by students who are legally blind. But seriously, I am glad that you want to include an awesome song, movie, chapter of a book in your own creation. But you need to ask permission. It is illegal to use someone else's work without asking. Please ask before you use it. People might surprise you and say yes. Then you both benefit. You have learned a valuable communication skill, and they might receive more publicity. That is a win-win situation.